go back and remember. You can remember the mistakes or you can remember your successes. But when you learn from your past, this is the eagle talent. Now, they all have, these are African symbols. They all have African names, and I'm not gonna try to pronounce them. This is called the eagle talent. It's bravery, perseverance. And this is, it's a seed from a tree. That this talent is a war, okay? You have to forge forward. So, in order to be successful, you have to put up a fight to reach your dreams. So this is what I call steps of wisdom, because we do have different things that come in our lives that kind of put a block there, but if we persevere, we are successful. That's me.
Very good.
I suppose you could use them if you wanted to for dried flowers, or you could even use them for fresh cut flowers, but my intent was for them just to be for decoration. I usually make my work by throwing them on the potter's wheel, but these pieces are a combination of hand building and wheel throwing. And after I formed them, I did the preliminary firing, and then I coated them with the glaze and loaded them back in the oven and heated them up for the glaze firing. And the glaze is a color, pattern, and texture that you see on the surface. I was talking to someone earlier, and they were commenting on how the glaze had flowed, and it almost stuck to the shelf. But I had enough foresight to put a little bit of material underneath it in case the glaze ran and did stick, that it wouldn't stick to the shelf and I'd be able to get it off and it wouldn't have created a problem. So you can see on pretty much all of them, there near the bottom, the glaze flowed on that vertical surface down.
So when I work, I already got the comment from Raphael today too. He said, I thought you were a printmaker. I thought you were a sculptor. I work in series and I start with a concept first. So what material it's made out of, what it's going to look like, what the process of making is going to be, always gets decided after the concept for the work. I also, when I show the series, one of the things I do inside my work is there's a specific experience at that very first exhibition of the work that kind of exists then and only then. If you know, once the work goes out into the world, that can never happen again. So I'd like to talk to you about the two experiences from this series and this one. So the two paintings here were part of 24 paintings in a show called Paintings for a Lost Lover. This was created in 2019, heading into 2020. At that time, I had gone to the doctor and had gotten some biopsy results that indicated that I was going to have a full hysterectomy. And so I had always thought I was going to be a mother. Like, I truly, truly believed I was going to be a mother. And being faced with, like, no, this is happening. And I remember the doctor saying to me, if you're going to have a child, you have to have a child right now. And I was in a relatively new relationship with someone who was a lot younger than me. And he even said, like, if you want to, we can. And I just was like, no, it's not the right decision for your life. And so I'm not going to do it. This show was the combination of that. So at the time, he and I were reading a book together. It was a collection of Langston Hughes poems. It was an interracial relationship, and in that collection of poetry, Langston Hughes actually often wrote about his interactions inside of interracial relationships as well. And so it's just a book that really, like, meant something to us, because in a way we saw, like, our own experiences reflected in some of what he wrote. So I chose 24 poems from the book that were really kind of meaningful to the two of us. And I created 24 paintings. Each of them is an illustration, kind of my interpretation of visual illustration, using color and mark making in an emotional way to illustrate the painting. So you can see this one's titled Blues at Dawn, after Langston Hughes. This one is Curious, after Langston Hughes. those are the titles of his poems. So at this exhibition, in the center of the room, I had a stand, and the book that we had read together was actually on the stand. So if you wanted to, you could go up and look up the poem and read the poem to see what it was an illustration of. And so it ends up being this really kind of, once you are in the exhibition and realizing kind of what it is, it's a really, really intimate space, and being invited into that relationship at kind of a specific time. And in tandem with it, I then wrote a book called Poems for a Lost Lover that chronicled the experience of losing my fertility, as well as going through that relationship that was not a permanent one, but was a very, very important one in my life. But also as a way to kind of give back, and for me, what that book of poetry had meant to me, kind of chronicle this and put it out into the world with the idea that maybe someone else would want to hear what I had to say. And so that was that series. And then now, you know, when they travel, they kind of travel individually. I think they carry the memory of the exhibition with them, but they also don't have to, you know. This one was the same way. So these are 3 pieces out of my most recent show. In this one, I had paintings and collages and drawings. I also had some poems that were installed on the wall as just vinyl text. The idea with this one, when you walked in, there was a very clear kind of starting pathway. And as you went through the show, if you read the titles, they built a story. And you started to hear that there was a story about this woman from when she was younger until when she was older. And it often would refer to other women. It would talk about her relationship with her mother or her relationship with men. But it wasn't a specific like she or her. There's just this language of her. So this one is titled, Sometimes It Felt as Though the Whole World Had Lined Up to Watch Her Fall. She awoke one morning to find herself on the downward side of aging, and she could play most roles convincingly enough. So as you went through the show, if you started at the beginning and went to the end, you got kind of this abstract story of a woman's life as told through the poetic titles of the work. I am a writer as well. I am a poet as well. And so that's always part of my work as well. And so if I wanted to share something with any of you all as students, I would say the idea that you have to be one thing or do one thing, absolutely not. Everyone's gonna tell you you do, just don't do it. Like, figure out who you are, what you do, what you're saying, what your methodology is, what your language is, and just go full force into that. Yeah, okay, that's pretty good.
For the most part, these are all just kind of pieces that I just kind of wanted to throw in the show, just to kind of give them some life. 2 of them are designs that I just kind of actually came up with and have not used. One of them is actually, there's some bit of photography that's there. I do freelance graphic work on the side, and wildlife is kind of the name of my DBA right now. I do business as, so. I do custom merch and things that are in digital work for anybody who wants and needs digital work, website stuff, coding. I do that type of stuff, but I kind of showcase what type of things digital can create, where you can go from. A lot of people don't understand like the idea of what you can do with a career. You can do so many things with doing digital work or knowing how to do something in Illustrator, Photoshop, all the Adobe Creative Cloud stuff. That's kind of what we do. So the piece that's there with the photography actually showcases one of my friends wearing like a sweatsuit that I called the Oasis sweatsuit that I dropped like in 2023. Has an older design that's up there. It also has like an interactive feature with it. I just kind of wanted it to be interesting. I think about how people interact with art all the time. So the part with the actual photography in it, if you read some of the side part, there is an app that goes with this that if you download that app, whether that's like Play Store, Google, Android, whatever you guys use. I'm kind of an Android person, right? So just putting that out there. PC too, I don't really, but we have to know how to use both for project.
We still love you. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
But whatever store, whatever thing that you guys use, download this particular app that's on there, or if you want to know, you can ask me as well. And it'll have a camera feature that you can scan to it that adds some video BTS from like behind the scenes of the photo shoot that we did. out in a park. I can't remember what park that was, but we were kind of near like White Rock Lake, somewhere near White Rock Lake. The other one is like the one that has the snowman. It's kind of like a winter design that I wanted for wildlife. Like either last year, year before last, I just didn't put it out, and I kind of didn't want to waste the opportunity to just print it, put it on something. And that's kind of, at the time, that's how I was feeling. Those were gonna go on shirts. Those were gonna go like on children's clothes, basically. So it's one of those things that I like to do. I like to play with my work, be playful. It doesn't always have to be very serious. I like to look at things that make me personally happy. So. And then just to add a little small connotation to it, I don't know who is all gonna know this reference I'm about to make in here, but I listen to maybe too much rap. So back in early 2000s, there's a guy named Young Jeezy who did snowman shirts. I don't know who knows anything about that hip hop. But we used to get like in trouble for wearing this rapper shirt that had a snowman. I just thought that it's hilarious that you can get in trouble at all wearing a shirt that has a snowman on it. But yeah, that's what it is. And then mine is all the last pieces in this corner here. I call it Zen. Yeah, it's Zen. So it's just the idea of picturing myself just in a place where I'm very comfortable at. Everybody has like that place wherever they think of that they, in their mind immediately that just draws like immediately inner peace or immediate like tranquility. Mine's happen to be in the near water. I like that. I'm a Scorpio, so I don't know if that's the thing. I'm a water sign, so I like to be around the water. That's what I like to do. So that's that. Yeah.
Can you do a 360 so we can see your outfit
Yeah,
too?
let us see the wildlife.
Is that embroidered on the front?
Yeah, that's clean. I'm ready for mine.
But she also tries every medium, Like, I love that about Charlene. I mean, she does sculpture in materials like textiles, and she does printmaking and drawing and painting. I mean, she has her hands in it all. And I just really admire that about her. So I encourage all of us to do that too. And then I heard Erica say something that I fully believe in too, which is that you shouldn't limit your art to just art, Like, there's all kinds of stuff that you can integrate: music, fashion, poetry. All of that can become part of what your inspiration is, but also integrated into the art that you make. So don't limit yourself on that either.
Can I share something real quick
yeah.
too and say, like, y'all have a big old degree on the valedictorian of the 2007 Otis MFA, like Los Angeles, like I have the big one. My alma mater is CedarValley College. I went to this program. It's why I'm here. In the last kind of 10, 15 years of my life, I've decided I've been everywhere and I've taught everywhere. I'm like, I'm going home. So like, whatever it is you want to do, you are in the spot to start. This is absolutely where I started.
Yeah, you don't have to be at a fancy place to make amazing art, Just have
In
a
fact,
voice.
it's almost better.
Just a
because,
voice,
like,
yeah.
You can take any risk you want, You can do it
Yeah.
anywhere. It's like, if it doesn't work out, learning lesson. Let's
Bring the
keep
eyes to you instead of, starting
Yes.
with them on you, yeah. So I think that's really awesome about Erica, and it shows too, like, I learned something about her, several things about her that I didn't know, just listening to her talk about her art. And I think it took me a long time as an artist to like realize that the best voice I have is my own voice. Like, I don't need to tell anybody else's story. I don't need to think that where I came from or how I grew up was boring, because it's not. Like, it's my story, So I appreciate and admire that about Erica. And then, what was the third thing I was gonna say? Oh Lord. What did Andrew say? I'll think of it in a second.
Make me think about
I guess it just, making a brand for yourself, I think, is a really interesting way to go too. And I don't want anybody to ever think like, don't go into art thinking you have to make money, but also don't go into art thinking that you're never gonna make money. Just go and just do it, And whatever you like to do, whether it's digital, whether it's painting, doesn't matter, just do it. And I think the thing that I hate the most as an art person is like getting asked, what kind of art do you make? And I'm just like, I don't know, I just make stuff. Like, I'm not just one thing. I'm not just a painter, I'm not just a printmaker. I just kind of do it all. Whatever the idea I have, however that fits in, that's the media that I choose to work with, okay? So, background on this couch here, y'all, it's real tattered. I hope you look closely because it is a little bit, it's been used, but some of this fabric on here is super old. So I was in grad school at University of Dallas, and my MFA show was a little bit unconventional. I remember presenting the idea to my professor, and I was so scared. First of all, he was a very old German man who was super intimidating. His name was Jürgen. And so I was really concerned to even approach this idea to him but he was like, yeah, do it. And so I created like a living room in the gallery. So I had a couch, I had a rocking chair that was my grandmother's, I had a coffee table with like coloring books and stickers and all kinds of stuff you could sit down and like interact. I had a TV that played Roseanne before she was controversial, and because I was very addicted to like how I grew up, very like a working class family, you know, and all kinds of stuff on the walls in the show. So it was like a whole little scene that you could walk into. I had laundry, shirts that I had printed, and earlier when I came to the gallery, somebody's backpack was on the sofa, and that just made me really happy. You know, I like that. I want it to be used, and it's not like this precious. It is precious, but it's not precious. You know, it can be torn, it can be tattered. There's probably dog hair on it because my dog, this was her spot. She likes to lay there, and so I'm actually bringing it up to put in the studio upstairs. It's going to become like a permanent part of the design studio upstairs, so students can use it, sit on it, whatever. But it's essentially upholstered with a bunch of t-shirts, old t-shirts from like when I was in high school, when I was in college. There's some fabrics on here that were these, my grandmother always wore these really like house coats. I don't know if you know what those are. I'm an old, so I know what they are. But they were always out of this like double knit, horrific fabric. So I had a bunch of that, and I cut up a bunch of her old clothes and like sewed this all together. That was my brother's t-shirt. Some of these I screen printed myself, like this is a pattern I did. This one is a pattern that I made and screen printed. It's of oil derricks because I grew up in East Texas. These were off my band pants from high school. So I snatched those when I graduated and then cut them up and used them to upholster. I've never upholstered anything, and I never will again because it was. I literally bled on this couch from the upholstery like staple gun. It was a lot, y'all. I slept on it unupholstered many times in my studio because I just gave out. But anyway, that's the story with the couch. It's just a lot of nostalgia, and even looking at it now, I'm seeing things that I haven't noticed in a long time. I went through a heavy bandana phase. I had a lot of bandanas, and I wore those in college, so that's all integrated here. So yeah, that's the story of the couch. You can sit on it if you want. It's very low though. Maybe I'm just saying that because I'm old, but trying to get off of it's a little bit of a task. So, as you can see, and as Erica mentioned, when you're an artist, you tend to collect things. Am I right? Okay. So I also teach a class called computer illustration, and one of the assignments that we do is I have them create contour illustrations of something, of a collection that they have. It doesn't have to be like a what am I trying to say? Like something, it could be anything. It could be like the contents of their purse. It could be like they could go to the refrigerator and like draw whatever's in their refrigerator. They could open up the bathroom drawer and draw whatever's in there, the medicine cabinet, or it could be like a formal collection, you know? And it all stems from an artist that I learned about years ago named Elise Ingler. I don't know if you've ever heard of her, but she does these like, she calls them inventory drawings, where she like makes these huge drawings, and she'll do them like directly on the walls of the gallery. So I remember this one that I saw where she did an inventory of the museum. So she had a whole wall, and she just drew directly onto the wall and redrew every item that was in the museum, every artwork, every light, every exit sign, just directly on the wall, like really free form, loose, kind of rudimentary drawings. So I show my students that artwork, and then we kind of translate it into our own pieces. And so this one, this little Frida magnet, it was sort of the inspiration for all of these. And now I want to do like a lot of these because I had a lot of fun making these. I don't make art as much as I should because my job is creative too. It's hard to like muster all of that. You know, it's like I'm creative all the time. I do a lot of freelance work, and then I have to have strength to do other work too that's my own. And so having this show is a really nice opportunity to do that. So I kind of started there, and this was just a collection of drawings of magnets that I have from different places that I've been and random things. Like this one my friend Clay gave me in high school of Wallace and Gromit. This one a friend gave me from Northern Ireland. This one I went to Montgomery, Alabama to the Hank Williams Museum. So they're just all random little things. But I sort of unified them by the illustration style. And inadvertently, I think it goes really well with the couch. I mean, you know, apparently I have an aesthetic, I don't know. But I feel like it goes really well with the couch, you know. And that's what I was gonna say. I remembered about Andrew when he was talking about this and with the snowman and how people got in trouble for wearing the snowman. I don't know what he's talking about. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, y'all. Make art about stuff that you like. And if people get it, they'll get it. And if they don't, that's okay too. That's what I was gonna say. Because you're like, well, Black Mountain, what is that? Why does she have that? It doesn't matter. I like it. And if you get it, you get it. If you don't, that's okay too. I also have a massive collection of skulls in my house, which my little stepdaughter asks me all the time. She calls me Otter. Otter, why do you have so many skulls? And I'm like, well, I don't know, but I think it stems back to art history. I don't know, just a lot of art history. Vanitas paintings from like the 1500s. I don't know, I just really think skulls are interesting. I think people are scared of them sometimes. Like I have a friend that doesn't like skulls. I'm like, well, we all have them. You know, it's not that big a deal. But I have a huge collection of them, and so I picked 12 to do illustrations from. And then the last one is my favorite. I'm not like a religious person, which you would think I was looking from this. But I do have a Christmas tree that I put up every year that is sort of like, the best way I can describe it is like my Catholic tree, even though I'm not Catholic. But I love that look. I do, and mainly I think it's because of art history and learning about all that through art history, but I also have to attribute the 1998 classic, or maybe it's 96, Romeo and Juliet. If you ever saw that movie, a lot of that type of imagery in it. And so I started collecting these ornaments, and I just think they're beautiful artworks. And so I have 12 of those. I have a lot more than 12, but I picked 12 to use in this series. So I'm thinking I'm gonna keep going on this dozens train and make more of these because I have a lot of collections of random stuff. So yeah, that's what those are. I drew them by hand, scanned them in, cleaned them up in Photoshop, traced them, converted them to Vector and Illustrator and added the color. So I used a lot of different media to produce these. I could do it with like an iPad or whatever, but I just really like drawing by hand. So that's those. And then if you want, you can take a coloring page over here. I have all of these images except the walnut Jesus. I didn't print one of that one, but all of the rest of them are over here if you want to take any of those. And yes, that is a fetus Jesus right here. If anybody was wondering what that was, that's an ornament my sister gave me. So yeah, a fetus Jesus. Okay, anyways.